Hi, I'm Peter.
And I'm Will.
And you're watching Anderson Jazz Jams.
Episode number 16.
This channel is supported by our generous Patreons that give as little as $1 a month, and you can find the link in the section below.
Today we're going to perform a song composed by Duke Ellington. It's called Things Ain't What They Used to Be.
And this is dedicated to our Patreon, Tom. This week on Technique Tips, we're going to talk about practicing without using the octave key. Now, you're always taught to use the octave key in the upper register and not in the lower register, but for this exercise, we want you to practice playing up through the upper register, but without the octave key. And what this does is it works on your breath support because it takes a little bit more air to get into that second register without using the octave key.
And the saxophone is a fairly modern instrument. It was only created about 180 years ago, and older instruments like the trumpet and the flute, they don't have any octave keys that are used to cheat to get the next partial out. So this is kind of a unique thing to the saxophone and the clarinet that you don't actually need to get out the higher partial notes. So it's a great exercise, especially in the upper register, to play these notes and try to get the sound as clear as possible without using the octave key.
This week on Improve Your Improv, we're going to talk about learning Cherokee. And this is kind of a complex song. I wouldn't advise learning it if you're an absolute beginner. If you have a good handle on the blues and say the rhythm changes, I would definitely recommend learning the chord changes to Cherokee. And I say this because it goes through a lot of different keys. It will work out your ability to play different chords. And it's a big challenge for a young player to learn to play this. So it will really raise your level quickly.
Now the A sections on Cherokee, if we're in B flat, they do a 2-5-1 to the 4 chord, which is really useful. It occurs in a lot of different standards. And then after that, it goes to the 4 minor, and then back to the 1, and then to the 2 dominant, and then back to the 1 chord. Now these movements and these sounds in harmony are very useful. They come up in hundreds and hundreds of songs. And the bridge of Cherokee is kind of a famous exercise for musicians to play over. It goes through all these different keys. So if you can master Cherokee well and even take it through all the keys, you'll be flooring on other standards.
This week on Things You Don't Learn in Music School, we're going to talk about taking every gig. And this might be counterintuitive for a young musician who's trying to make a living. Take it from me and my brother, we've played at venues all over the country, we've toured with major artists. What we want to try to get across with this point is take every opportunity to play your horn. You never know what opportunity might lead you down a path where you get selected for a new ensemble, or you meet a famous musician, or it leads to something else. So don't always look at the financial gain right away. Hard work and perseverance will lead to more success, more financial gain, and more gigs. So in the beginning, we want to stress you really need to take every opportunity to play that you can get.
Yeah, the music business is really about forming relationships and doing favors for other people, and they'll return the favors. So if you have a friend who's really serious about music and he's putting a band together and he organized a performance, that might be a really good investment for you to put your heart and soul into it, do a good job, and maybe later down the road he'll have more opportunities.
This week on Jazz Hangouts, we're going to talk about Barry Harris's improvisation classes. Now, Barry Harris is a legendary pianist. He's played with everyone in jazz back in the 50s and the 60s, and he's still alive. He's in his late 80s, and he's a dedicated teacher. He runs classes weekly in New York City, and we've learned a lot from them about accompanying on the piano, about playing licks and vocabulary, and about vocalists and singers. So I highly recommend you check out Barry Harris's website and look up these classes.
He's one of the most legendary teachers in jazz. He really focuses on bebop music and the ins and outs and the rules about different half steps and whole steps and navigating different harmony. And it's kind of a rite of passage in New York City that most musicians go through. For this week's Lick of the Week, we're actually going to choose a lick that I learned from Barry Harris. And it's used when you're in a minor key. And it is based on the minor arpeggio and the corresponding diminished seventh scale. So I'm going to play it in the key of B flat minor concert, and this corresponds to the C diminished. So it's going down the minor arpeggio, then back up the diminished seventh, down the minor, up the diminished seventh. So this is really useful. It outlines the harmony really well, and if you can get it in all keys, it's really going to help out your improv.
This week on Cats You Should Know, we're going to cover a great vocalist that we just performed with last week. Her name is Veronica Swift, and she's touring with the great Chris Bodie. She's also touring with the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. She's still in her 20s, and she's originally from Virginia, right near where my brother and I
Chantilly
grew up. Her dad was a legendary pianist named Hod O'Brien. Veronica sounded great on our gig last week. We performed with her at Highlights in Jazz, and she's just a young star to look out for.
We're going to be posting some videos of our performance with her. We're really excited about how it's going to come out, so please look out for Veronica Swift. She might be performing under her own name, and she also tours with the great Benny Green, the pianist. So watch out for Veronica.
We're going to post all of our Patreons on the screen at the end of this episode, but we just want to say how much we appreciate their support. You can join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month, and there's plenty of perks such as free CDs and concert tickets. You can also make a request for a song that we might play here on Anderson Jazz Jams, and also ask a question or comment about something you'd like to see covered. We want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, click the notification bell, and just tune in every week.
Please check out our show that we have this August at Symphony Space. It's called Songbook Summit. All the info's on our website as well as the Symphony Space website. We're going to be saluting Duke Ellington and Louis Armstrong. We're really excited about it, so check that out.
Thanks for watching Anderson Jazz Jams.